Now, a special Africa AI Village is running alongside the Paris AI Action Summit to make sure that the continent-specific take is platformed. It's been set up by a collective of top players in Africa's digital sector. Dr Shikoh Gitau is the founder of Digital Innovation Lab, Qhala. She's also the CEO, and Qhala is one of the Africa AI Village organizers. Doctor, thanks so much for dashing over here to make time to speak to me. First of all, so what's the relationship of the AI Village, the Africa AI Village, with the wider summit? Why are the two running concurrently, or is it related to the wider conference?
So, I mean, this is the Paris AI Action Summit is the third of a series of action summits that have happened in the last 3 years. So what we saw in Britain and then what we saw in CEO last year showed that Africa was not anywhere to be seen. African people were tokenized and were thrown in and out of different sessions without their voice actually being considered in some of the outcomes that were seen in both action summits. So this year, a bunch of Africans really came together and said, we need to be able to platform Africa, if not in the main event, in an event that is going to show that Africa actually exists. We are a population of 1.5 billion, and we cannot go unrecognized. And so the AI Village was because of that. The good thing is in the last 2 weeks, you've seen a warming up of the organizers of the AI Action Summit. The Paris city gave us the location that we are hosting the village at. So that was why we actually have it. It's not to compete with, it's to complement the conversation to make sure that
that space for you had previously been made for.
Yes.
So, within that being the case, there's a lot of the conversations and issues that have come up, in general conversations about where our AI is going are relevant to, stakeholders regardless of their background. And, in the run up to this Action Summit, we've been hearing a lot about the risks that the technology poses to increasing inequality. Now, what does that conversation mean to you within an African context?
So let me give you a bit of numbers, right? So Africa is a population of 1.5 billion. We are the youngest population. More than 75% of our population is under the age of 35. But when you search any AI model or any AI data set, less than 2% of talent and data set from Africa contribute to this. What does that actually mean for the continent? It means that we are being deleted. And the more AI become prevalent, especially Gen AI become prevalent, it means that we are going to be put in this homogeneous entity that is called humanity that we are not part of. Our language is not represented. Our skin color is not represented. Our gender is not represented. Our culture especially and our context of life is not represented in any of these models and any of these conversations that are being had. So inclusivity, the digital divide, and then there's a further AI divide, because then we are forced to live a very white English primarily lifestyle that we are not.
When you're talking about inclusivity, one of the things I noticed in the agenda for the Africa AI Village was that you specifically carved out time for looking at the need for women to lead the charge when it comes to AI. Why is that such a concern?
So, first of all, I'm very proud of Africa. We have more than 15 ministers of ICT who are women, and they're leading the charge. I'm so excited. I think 4 of them are here in Paris already. And what we've seen is that when you remove a woman from decision-making and leadership, no matter how many women we have in other cadres of the organization or research or whatever, women will be left out. We need women in the leadership spaces that they can make a decision and make a call and invest in women. And I'll give an example. So at work, we have built what we call the agent, which is like in Africa, when you give birth or you're getting ready to get married, you are attached to an older woman who works with you. So we said, okay, how do we bring this into like the digital world? This idea of having somebody who is walking you throughout your premarital, marital, motherhood, pregnancy, all this journey. It's called the auntie app. This can only be thought of by a woman. A man will never be thought. But I was in a position to make a decision and speak about investment into this. A man will not do that. They will make a gaming agent, do not make a a support agent for other women. So we need women in that. We need women making policies that support women.
And so all of these priorities that you kind of very briefly touched upon, I wish we had more time, how are they reflected in this Africa AI governance toolkit? What is it that you're trying to tool Africa up for in terms of what's to come with AI on the continent?
So many of the conversations that happened in Seoul, in Britain, and now in Paris have been talking about the regulating of AI or this on that. But the problem is many Africans are not even a place where we can regulate ourselves. But we need a policy framework or a governance framework that guides us to a certain way. So the African governance toolkit is to enable African countries, no matter where you are in your AI journey, you're able to say, right now, I just want principles, I want frameworks, I want a strategy, and maybe I want some policy and regulation much later when you have figured out what we are doing. But instead of trying to say, oh, Europe is doing this, the US is doing this, China is doing this, let's define our path to regulation. Let's not allow, and that's what the toolkit is about. Is to help any policymaker who's thinking about it to see where to start with. Yeah.
Thank you so much for breaking all of that down for us, Dr. Shikoh Gitau there from Qhala, giving us a bit of an insight about some of the priorities for the continent as the world's great and good when it comes to tech meet here in Paris to discuss a way forward for AI. That is all we have time for AI on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again if you can. Till then, take care.